Hello everyone, welcome to Code with Shaz and another exciting video. Today I'm going to be talking about a very important topic that is come up with the data engineering field, how to load a large CSV file using data table and yield return in C#. So basically we want to load a large file. So I'm going to be using a couple of options we have in .NET C# on how to do this. First option is we have a .NET class called sqlbulkcopy. sqlbulkcopy is a very powerful .NET library. It basically gives us a couple of options here. SQL bulk copy is optimized for bulk operations and can insert thousands or even millions of rows much faster than executing individual insert statements. So you can see it's a very powerful tool, and then it also minimizes the round trips. So instead of sending one row at a time to the database, SQL bulk copy sends data in batches, reducing the number of round trips between the applications and database server. So basically you can specify a batch you want to process in chunks, and you can use that to bulk insert it. Another option we're going to be using in C# is very famous option called yield return. So basically it helps us in couple of areas. One is memory efficiency. Only one batch of the data is loaded into memory at a time, making it suitable for very large files. And you can also basically, if the file is processed in a streaming manner, which is more efficient than loading the entire file into memory. So we're going to be using these two approaches here. One is a SQL bulk copy and yield return. So let's get started. So let's say we are reading a large HR file for an organization, and we have a large file called persons. Person, if you let me show you, the person file has data like it has like ID, first name, last name, address, city, and country. So basically, this is a very basic HR data that we normally process for an organization. So you can see in the end, if I go in the end, you have more than 1 million records here. So you have 1,048,000 records. So we're going to be processing this data into our SQL server. So for the SQL, you can see that I have built a table called person, and we have similar columns: ID, first name, last name, address, city, country. This ID is not this ID that we're going to be using in the file. This is our whole internal ID that will keep, which is the primary key. So these are the two things we have. Let me show you the code now. So in the code, I've already written the code. You can see that I have done the whole thing. And let me show you first how, let me run the application. So you can see that my table is empty at the moment. And the file I'm going to be reading is called persons. And you can see that I'm using the file path here. And the batch size I'm processing is, you can process whatever the batch size you want, but I'm processing 50,000 records. So let me run this application and see how it works. And then we'll explain the code. So the application is running now, and let's see how long it takes us to. So it's starting to process batches in batch size of 50,000. You can see that we're going every 50,000, we're processing the records. So more than 1 million records will be inserted, and you can see the file is done. So the process is done, and we can see the records now. So you can see that we have 1,048,000 records inserted in our table. Let's take a look at detail of our code, how the code is processed. So first, let me show you the NuGet packages I'm incorporating here. So you can see that in the NuGet packages, I have installed two. One is the Microsoft Data SQL client. This is for us to connect with the SQL server, and the configuration so that we can work with the configuration settings in the app setting file. So for example, let's take a look. All of my settings are in app config file. You can see that my database connection string is here. So I'm making a connection here, and I'm getting my connection string here from my default connection string name is default. So I'm going to be processing data using stream reader. So stream reader is a method which you pass in the file, and it's going to be reading one line at a time. So first the first part is we're gonna skip the header row because we do not need to worry about that. And then you can see that in here I'm passing my reader, which is coming from here, and the batch size, which batch size I want to process. I can push this batch size to my app config file, no problem, but I'm showing here just for demo purposes. So the way it works is that it does a loop here into this method, which returns a list of enumerable, and the class name is person. So basically I have done a class here called person. This represents our file and the database that we're going to be working with. This is our entity that we're going to be using. So in here, you can see that I'm passing my reader and then the batch size. And what it does is that it passes the reader and it does the read line one line at a time. And you can see that this is my list of person that I created, and it does split the line by a comma because our file is a comma separated file. And then what it's going to do is going to take each part of that a comma separated line and put it into the each one of those person, and then it's going to add it here. So this batch is a person's class that we created, which is a person's list of is a list of persons, and then it's going to be adding this first line in here. So this is where all the magic happens. So if my batch count, meaning every time once we're going to read this line until we reach the batch count, let's say we have 50,000, I'm going to be adding into this batch. With batch is basically list of persons. I'm going to be adding it here. And once I reach that batch, he'll return the batch size back to my loop. So basically what it's going to do is going to return the batch back to my code here, and it's going to come here. And then so at this point we're going to be having a person's list of batch of 50,000 persons that we're going to be inserting. And this is the code which actually does the bulk insert. So if you go back to the code, you can see that it makes the connection to the server and using a SQL bulk to do the actual work. And here you can see that my destination table name is person. So why we are using column mappings between SQL bulk copy and our columns in the person table. So let's say you have a different column in the table and the file name is different. For example, you can have a person here, file person name could be first name, with the like that, and then your database table column name is this. So basically this is how you can, this to make sure that you are mapping column from your person class to your database. So this is the column mappings we're using here. So once our column mappings are done, and then you can see here we are converting our people, which is the list of persons, to a data table, because SQL bulk copy works with the data table class. So you can see here we are converting the list of person to data table. This is how all the magic is happening here. And then you can see that once it is converted, the list of person is converted to the data table. Here we actually calling the bulk copy write to server. This is where we're going to be inserting data into the SQL server. So that's where it's going to be happening. So the idea here is that we take 50,000 batch size of persons list, and then we insert 50,000 at a time. So in this code we build 50,000 of persons, we insert it into a bulk insert, and then the next 50,000 are processed, and then the next are processed. So let me try to debug it to see how it works. So let me put a breakpoint here, and I'm going to be running this. So let's first let me clear out my table. So I'm going to be truncating everything. So right now you can see that there is nothing here. So now I'm going to be running my application to show you how it's going to be run. It's going to be loading. So you can see we put a breakpoint here, and let me do F11. We can go inside, and you can see that now we are inside this function, and you can see we pass the batch size of 3000, and we pass our reader. So reader is basically where it's going to read the line. So our list of person class is empty at the moment. This is a new syntax that we use in C#.NET now. Before it was new person list, but now you can just simply say this to declare a list of person. We going one line, see there that we convert to each part of the line to a person class. So basically this converts person class. So this is, and then here you're gonna see that, and here we're gonna do the bulk insert. In the bulk insert, you can see that we're going to insert 50,000 records, which is a 50,000 list of persons, into our database. So this code will do it. So let me come here, and I will do the continue again, and you can see here our data table is built. The column mappings are done, data table is built, and if I view the data table now, you can see that this is my data table that is going to be actually inserting, and we have 50,000 rows here, and this is the one exactly is going to be inserted into the DB. So now let me run this command and let me say continue. And then we'll see that once I say continue, you can see that the 50,000 records are inserted. Let me go back to the DB and I can do this, and you can see 50,000 records are inserted. So let me run the whole thing now, and I will remove my breakpoints here. And then let me put a breakpoint here to see what happens. So now let me continue, and you can see that our program, I think there's one more. Let me remove this one. Let me run again. And you can see now we're inserting same batches 50,000 at a time. So you can see that once it reaches a million records, it will stop and it will break point here, and I will explain you the reason. So you can see now that 1 million records it reached and it put a breakpoint here. The reason is that if you can see from the file, we had total of 1,048,000 records here, but we inserted 1 million because the rest of the record which are more than a million but less than a next 50,000 chunk, it will be handled by this line of code. And if I go back to my SQL Server now, you can see that I inserted 1 million and the rest of will be inserted here. So you can see the count is 48,000. Let me do F11 now. I'll go back to my yield return and then go back to bulk insert. And you can see here that the rest of the 48,000 will be inserted here. So let me do a breakpoint, run it again, and everything is run. And now this part executed and the remaining records in the chunk are processed. So let me go back to our, and you can see that now the whole 1 million records are inserted. So it took less than 10 seconds. So this is how basically you process a large CSV file using SQL bulk copy and yield return. I will be publishing this code on GitHub, and you can find the link on the description of this video. So if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and like this video, and always please subscribe to my channel Code with Shaz, and watch out for more exciting and entertaining videos coming next. Thank you.